Yo, and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Ross and Ryan and Kyle. How's it going, boys?
Welcome. Happy third season of Banter Boys. What's up, y'all?
Third time with a charm, right? I know. Kyle has finally seen like the spiel live. It's hilarious. So like there were a few fans when we did the whole fan segment shit that have never listened to us before. And when I did the whole yo, welcome to the, they were just like red in their face. They was like, oh my god, this is real. Yo, we are podcast.
I mean, I'm a regular listen, but I think you guys need a soundboard by now. Like you need a sound effects like repertoire. You guys can't just be going off the cuff with all this stuff, man.
Sanji is our sound effects board.
That's why we brought you on board, Kyle. We're going to become a legit professional body now, right? We've even got like a low-key budget that hopefully we can start using those fantastic donations from our fantastic community to building the brand and hopefully going on for seasons to come. But I mean, before we kind of jump into things, Russ, do you want to do our social plug real quick?
Yeah. So you can message us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handles at BanterB, on Discord in the Draft PL channel, BanterBoys #6585, on Reddit u/banter_boys. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, and much more, all under the name of Banter Boys.
Kyle, you're telling me you don't want to hear that live every time?
I mean, like, I think that if I am listening to the podcast, I know where to get the podcast. But
True that.
It's the production quality of the read is spot on. That's why I came
Sanji,
here.
we should be taking notes during this session, eh?
Bro, I've been taking notes since Kyle joined the group. Like, I don't think anyone has been so detailed in our conversation since Kyle has joined. And honestly, I think it's going to be a fantastic addition moving forward. I'm so excited for what's to come. Okay, so listeners, if this is your first time listening to the Banter Boys podcast, welcome. We cover everything Fantrax related. So typically we have two halves of this podcast. In the first half, we do a bit of a data dump, and then we do like league updates, just, you know, our results, tactics, trades, that sort of thing. Then we take a halftime pint. And then we take some Twitter questions from listeners and fans, and then round things off with FA/Waiver Picks. But since it's like our first episode for the season, we're gonna have like maybe a couple special segments, one or two. I don't know. We'll see how things go. But as always, before we start, we like to have a bit of banter. And for that banter, we gotta have a bit of an initiation for Kyle, right? I don't know. I feel like we should get him to sing a song or something like that.
Not gonna happen.
Let's get him to like.
You can say stuff and we can auto tune it.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were doing sound check, like Sanji's voice was singing Regal, so I think he should sing for us.
Sanji's sound is so good.
It's so
they've
solid.
Heard me sing before. Trust me, they don't want any of that. But yeah, Kyle, honestly, welcome to the team. We're so happy to have you on. So Kyle, I've known you since 2005. We went to high school in Barbados. And it's been a strange long journey since then. But as always, I think we've kept regular contact because of football, because of fantasy football. I want to throw back to the old days when we had that messenger group with Ryan, Andrew, Zarif. But yeah, I'm really glad to have you on board. Kyle is also part of the Banter Boys League. He tries really hard. He gets
emphasis
so far,
on tries.
he tries, he really does. But no, he's honestly a top manager, and I think he's going to make waves in this season's draft. Okay, so quickly, I do want to also shout out the donations that we've gotten on Ko-fi or Coffee or whatever it's called. Honestly,
Buy us a lassie?
yeah, a lassie. Buy me a lassie. I think that's what we're gonna do from now on, right? Rename it from coffee to lassie for the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, we should we mention who gave us the donations?
Yes, because it is like if you go to our page,
should, right?
it's-
Ross, do you have that real quick? Can you pull up that list real quick?
I don't have that real quick. Let me pull it up real quick.
This is why we edit shit, you know. Okay, I'm gonna quickly pull it up. I've got it on my phone right here. So shout out to Ben Chickens. So this was our Man City rep. Thank you so much for your donation. Shout out to Steve Campbell. His team name, I think, in some fantasy leagues is Interragnic FC. Really appreciate it. He actually gave us a message. Great work as always, gents. Massive kudos for the podcast. Well done, gents, and thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for your donation, man. Totti Andor from the Draft Society, he also dropped us a donation. His message, keep on trucking. Really appreciate that. One of our ongoing supporters, Tash, also gave us a donation. Keep doing what you do, boys. Amazing content. Also from PL Draftopia, one of the new accounts in our community. Keep up the good work, boys. And I mean, Ross, you also gave us a donation, but I'm not going to tell you thanks because that should have came through a long time ago.
You should say what the message is.
You'll never pod alone.
No.
You'll never. No, I'm joking.
There is the singing.
I mean, I am really glad Kyle's here because Kyle, you are a Manchester United fan, so you do add some kind of balance to our dynamic as well, right? I don't know
Is
why.
fans?
I don't know. Kyle, are you a fan? Like, well, what's going on with your club, man?
If I can answer that question, I think that they should hire me. I think at this point, it is. I don't want to say it's a process. It's a process. Let's just leave it at that. I think that there's a lot of things that we've hoped and dreamed for, and we're living in nostalgia a lot. But let's hope that we could see the light at the end of the tunnel sooner rather than later.
It can't get worse, right?
It can get worse. What are you talking about? It can get way worse than it is right now. Of course it can. I'm still like glass half full, man. Like, let's see what the end of the transfer deadline looks like. Hopefully, like Ten Hag gets a little bit of time and can
With
get these
Rabiot's
boys into
mother?
shape.
Ooh,
Yeah. Oh, wow.
spicy.
Let's see. I'm a little bit optimistic still.
Yeah, you know what? I knew things were gonna like you guys were gonna see a drop after Fergie left, but I didn't realize it was gonna be like this bad. But yeah, you know what? Let's see. Time will tell.
You know what's wild is that the only time I've been to see United play in person, like anywhere in the world, was at Old Trafford after Fergie left. It was in Moyes' first season, so that was the only time that I've seen United. And one can say that there was still a lot of optimism at that point. It was a Southampton game. We were up, and then at stoppage time, I can't remember who, but they scored the equalizer, and I had to sit there as I wanted to take just pictures of the stadium and watch the away end just go mental. So fun memories.
Yeah.
We have a friend who started supporting United after Fergie left. Like during like the Van Hal / like Moisey area.
Why do I feel like I know who this is?
It's Neeraj, yeah.
It is.
So did not see the glory days. I would say that's a true and tested fan. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's levels to this, right? Like, if you're a recent fan, like, props to you. I think that there's a lot of history and a lot of trophies in the cabinet that you can look back on. And then for, like, the fans from before, I mean, there's still the academy and there's still, like, young hope and prospects that you can look at. But don't get your hopes up for the first team or any signings or any of this stuff.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. But back to banter topics. We also do want to thank the community so much for your ongoing support. Just quick updates on, like, I guess numbers. I don't think people really care, but 650 followers and growing. 7K and growing total plays of episodes. So I mean, we're I have no idea what the fuck we're doing, but we're clearly awesome at what we do. So we're doing, like, stuff, guys. We're doing stuff. Okay, so I do want to kind of catch up on, like, how our draft went. Like, not too much of an in-depth discussion, but just, you know, quick highlights or quick things that kind of jumped out to you from draft day. Why don't we take turns? Kyle, since you're the guest, go first. Mention, your draft pick number, maybe your top 3 picks, and one gem that you think you would have acquired late in the draft. Or one dud.
No duds on this team. This is the winning squad, man. I went in the middle of our 12-man draft league, so I was picked 6. I was lucky to have the man, the myth, the legend, Erling Haaland, fall to me. So that was my first pick. I got on the turn Sterling, and then I do not know if this was a good pick or not, but I picked Van Dijk in the 3rd round, who's currently on the trade block as of this morning, if anyone in our league is listening. So I'd say it went generally well. Like, I think that the thing that I was calling out from the few mocks that I participated in and was watching Sanji do was that the forward line seemed pretty shallow. So I targeted a lot of forwards. Ross roasted me a lot for not going after mids, but I think at the back end to the question of steals or I'd say swings for defenses, like I think that I went hard on new to the prem mids or under the radar mids at the back end of the draft. So Caicedo was my last pick in the 16th round, who had a stellar game opening day at Old Trafford. Polinia, Ayodele Aribo from Sahin, and Aronson, who I'm sure we'll get to. Very frustrating to see his goal chopped off. But I think that my strategy is high risk, high reward. Let's see how it plays out at the end of the season.
Yeah, what's annoying is how much of an avid listener you are to the podcast, because during the fan series, you pretty much picked up every fucking gem that we mentioned.
I mean, I have other sources of information, but I will give props to you, Sanji, for the stellar 20 episodes of Inside Tracks covering off the flybys with the fans of all the individual teams. So yeah, there was good intel there. Lucky enough, and not to go on too much of a tangent, I was doing another slow draft with a dynasty format and different boosted scoring. So I was deep into rosters, trying to find mostly under 21 talent, but also scouting some of the newer to the prem players as well. So these two things kind of went hand in hand. 2 different strategies, but to the same goal at the end of the day, right? Trying to win as many leagues as you're in this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear a little bit more about the Dynasty League, and we're gonna chat a bit about that later down in this pod. Ross, why don't you go next? You were pretty much right off to Kyle on the draft board.
Yeah, so as I was roasting Kyle about not picking up strikers, Kyle was roasting me back on as I was roasting Kyle not on picking up too many strikers, Kyle was roasting me on not picking any strikers. And to be honest, I didn't pick my first striker until round 6.
Yeah.
And by that time you're basically kind of reaching. So, but my first 3 picks were Joao Cancelo, Jared Bowen, and Philippe Coutinho. Philippe Coutinho now I'm a bit iffy on, because I'm Villa aren't playing so well, and Coutinho is doing what Coutinho does, is that go absent in games when it should matter. So I don't know. Let's see. He's still a player that you get as a big or bust player, right? So can score 40 points, but can also score 0 points. So let's see. Most excited player that is Joe Linton. I'm not gonna lie. I know some people have been maybe Ryan have been oh, Joe Linton going a bit higher, but we saw amount of ghost points that he put up without the assist, and the ghost points and the assist was just icing on the cake, right? In the other league, he had before he got the assist, he had 15 points, and then he got the assist. So I'm super, super excited. I got him in round 10, and I feel he'll be a solid midfield addition, barring no injuries and barring no extra midfield purchases, but it'll be tough for him to kind of lose that spot with how he's playing. Robbie roasted me a bit for picking Dele Alli a bit early. I dropped him, by the way, Robbie, so Now you know. I also dropped Ling Lei because I thought he would start, but I guess not. Everywhere I was reading was like, oh, might kind of come in and like do like take over. What is it? Davies, Dyer, one of those players. So, but hasn't happened yet. I picked up Sven Botman, who I haven't dropped yet because I do feel he is the main addition to that defense over Dan Burn. So let's see. But yeah, I will give a shout out to Robert Sanchez, who I feel like I feel like Brighton are going to have a big season. I think they're going to make a push for Europe. And we kind of saw that against, yes, a United. But at the same time, like, you know, they did go up against United and win, where that's been pretty tough for the last couple of seasons for them. So let's see.
All right. And Ryan, you can go next. You were a couple spots down the road.
Yeah, I think I was ninth. Yeah, ninth pick. First pick was Darwin. Seems a bargain now. So excited to see how his season plays out. He's just been electric every time he comes on for a pool so far, right? Shield and then game week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I had a great draft. It was pretty standard. Happy to get the likes of Rodrigo and Danny Welbeck in rounds 12 and 13. But
yeah, I'm upset about that.
Yeah.
Because we did like OFPL draft practice and actual OFPL drafts, and I feel like I leaked information to Ryan, and Ryan took that information.
Yeah, that's the benefit of a slow draft, right? Like, you get information as it goes along. Because by the time we hit like 10 plays, we'd already done like 2 or 3 other drafts together.
I mean, speaking of low draft, does anyone have the final average draft pick time, by the way?
Oh my god, don't get me started on this.
Kyle, can you pull that up in the meantime and maybe just mention it when it's my turn? Let Ryan finish his point.
Yeah, so I think the likes of Matt Target in round 6 looks good. But I'm really just most excited about Darwin's season. If he stays fit and if he like gets that start soon, which you would think he does, it looks great.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone have the average draft pick time? No? Are we just
I
going to
don't think I have the final one, but
I mean, we could guesstimate
I
it.
have a pretty late one, and Sanji, you were definitely the slowest.
Yeah.
You can give all your excuses now for why you were the slowest. You better have the best, most splendid team for how long you took on the clock.
I mean, listen, I was just taking my time to build the best squad possible because the best squad possible is currently sitting first in the league after one match day, you know? That's all I've got to say, guys, you know? At least I'm not, you know, near the bottom or whatever. But yeah, I went last pick actually in our 12-man league. My first 3 picks were James Maddison, who I was shocked actually fell to me. Because the likes of Jadon Sancho, shout out to you, Achim. How you feel now? Like, yeah, I could not believe Madison fell to me. And Gabriel Jesus, because like the boys have been alluding to, strikers just are kind of like slim pickings this season. So I'm really happy with that pick. And in my third round, I know we're only mentioning 3, but because that was last pick, I like third or fourth were pretty much like the same thing. I got Pedro Neto and I got Christian Eriksen. Pedro Neto putting up around 14 points. All ghosties, right? And Eriksen, 13 points. Again, all ghosties. So I'm really excited for what's going to come from those guys. I heard somewhere on a different podcast, though, apparently Pedro Neto doesn't play as well without Jimenez. Apparently Podence plays better when Jimenez is not there. That being said, Podence is playing like the false 9 and all that. So let's see. It's only been 1 game week. Hard to really say how the season's going to turn out, etc. In terms of late pick gems or whatever that I'm kind of happy with, I would say Keenan Dewsbury Hall in round 9. He put up 17 points, right? With the goal included. But I do think he's just going to kind of continue from his preseason form and just kick on as a proper Fantrax asset. And yes, you know what? He is on the trading block for anyone listening on this pod, in the audience, that sort of thing. Yeah, looking for offers for that player. Ryan, I'm also looking at you, but whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move on though. To what are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, actually, one thing before we move on, I do want to remind listeners something that we kind of fucked up on is if you are drafting and you notice that there are no new players in your league, go unlock your player pool. You'll get new players. So we did this after
like
game week one.
magic.
So our second waiver wire window is going to be a little wild. Anyways, I think before we jump into the data dump though, do you boys want to quickly do the prediction stuff now or at the end?
Let's do it at the end. Let's do it
All right, let's do it at the end then. All right. Let's do the data dump then.
Ay. Fantasy with the Banta boys.
First category, key passes. The highest number recorded was 7, Jack Harrison. Then second highest number was 5 by James Madison. Then third highest number with 4 key passes, Hyungmin Sun and James Ward-Prowse. I'm not going to mention that long fucking list of threes. I just put that out there for you boys to kind of see, and if you want to mention anything in your discussion. But any quick thoughts? We'll go Kyle, Ryan, and Ross real quick.
I mean, the thing I'll call out, because I had Kaishiro on my team who ended on 3, was I think he got all of his points in the first half. That's something that I know we were talking about a little bit offline. It'll be interesting to see, or it would be interesting to see how long it takes folks start to end to rack up their points, not all the other filler per 90 or per start kind of contributions. But I think that was something that was interesting to me. I think Kulu, like a lot of debate around him and like his position in the team and what happens with Spurs. I'm intrigued by that. And then the other one on 3 that I was really interested by is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Holland, KDB. You have to imagine that 3 against that West Ham team and how they set up and how defensive they were and not like committed to playing that game at all. That 3 will probably be that's the floor. Like it can only go up from there against like a more attacking or counter-attacking team that is either at the Etihad or away from home that wants to actually put on a show for their fans.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ryan, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, just quick. Jack Harrison, insane. 7 key passes. We don't see that every week. It's good to see the likes of Eriksson on there, even though he wasn't played in his ideal position. And then, well, I expected a lot more defenders to make your 3 list, but like 8 Nori, Target, Matt, Reece James, really being the only few that stood out. So, just exciting ones to look out for.
Ross, what about you?
So like, you know how like Kyle mentioned with like KDB had like a opposite scenario where like for first 40-45 minutes he had like 0 points, and then he got the assist and kind of got into the game. Weird to kind of see that, like, because West Ham didn't specifically kind of start off strong, but like that's just kind of how it is. Reece James played like I honestly, like, he put in like 50 crosses and like maybe 3 of them were successful, and that's how he got his key passes, because he was on all the free kicks and all the set pieces, so all the corners and stuff. So that's what I see. Aitnuri had the own goal, conceded 2 goals, and still ended up with like positive points. And then like, yeah, so those are kind of weird things. Again, like the first 3 or 4 ones are, yeah, Jack Harrison's kind of an outlier, but like Madison, Sun, and JWP are like regular fixtures to it. But yeah.
Awesome. So now we will move on to shots and how many of those were on target. So the highest number of shots recorded, James Madison, with 6 of them attempted, 1 on target. Then 5 shots attempted by Holland, 2 on target, 5 attempted by Welbeck with 0 on target. And then a bit of a list here, 4 shots attempted by Dan Burn, who had 1 on target. Darwin Núñez with 3 of them on target. ASM, Alan St. Maximin, with 2 of his 4 on target. Heung-min Son with 2 on target. Tielemans with 2 on target. And Callum Wilson with 2 on target. Thoughts? We'll go same order again. Kyle, Ryan, and Ross.
Madison, like, I think that there's nothing left to be said there, like, topping the list with shots. Like, I think that is a big year for him in that attack. All the preseason stuff coming out of Rogers, like, sounded promising. It sounds like he's gunning to be in the form of his life. And I can only imagine that I mean, there's still time in the window. Let's see what Newcastle continue to do in terms of putting in bids for him. And then from a efficiency perspective, Darwin, and I'm sure Ryan, as the person that had him on his team and took him first overall, would seem like a reach, I would say. Getting 3 shots on target out of 4 in limited playing time. What was that, half an hour he had coming off the bench, or just over half an hour coming off the bench? Like, phenomenal. And then Dan Burn, which is a story that if we are doing the review of our individual teams, I will not talk about, given that I drafted him, and then as Ras was talking about him, like, having hope for Botman starting, I read too many of these reports, and I thought Burn was not going to start. I did not draft a keeper, so I had to give away someone for a keeper, and Burn was the casualty, only to see him in the starting lineup and putting up, 15 points or something ghastly. That one stings.
I guess you could say you got burned.
Yes, I purposely left that door open for you. That's why I said it stings.
But I'm just...
Oh, my God.
Oh, love it. Ryan, quick thoughts, mate.
This is the quality content people sign up for, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, not much to say. I think it's just one game week. I don't want to read too much into it. Dan Burn is not going to be there next game week. Like,
he better not be.
Says you when he scores against his old club.
Maybe, but it was Nottingham, right? Danny Welbeck, 5 shots, 0 on target, but still manages to put up 19 points.
On your bench?
On my bench. But imagine if he did anything with his shots. Like, he had some actual opportunities too, right? He just could not find that.
You know what, though? Like, as a United fan and him playing against United as an ex-United striker, like, how we missed, like, that as a presence up top, like, in that game. It was
ironic.
Like, yeah, he worked so hard, like, and you got to commend him for getting into the positions and working the defense, which, let's not talk about it. So he didn't get the shots on target. He didn't work De Gea, who I picked up, who had no save points. So thanks, Welbs. But it was good industrious work, which I think is sort of emblematic of how Potter drills and, like, instills, like, discipline into that Brighton team.
Yeah, agreed. And it's surprising to see him reborn, right? Like, we saw it at the end of last season, and he's back at it.
Yeah, was he a free agent? Like, is he, like, on a year-to-year kind of contract or something? Like,
oh, is he? I have no idea.
Yeah, I feel like he was out of contract and then signed back on, so I don't even know what his situation is. Maybe he's playing, and of course, Premier League is not the same as, like, North American sports, where people get in contract years and you see them put up, like, beastly points to get a big deal or a big move type of thing. But maybe that's it. He is reborn because he has a bigger goal, or he has something to play for, maybe.
True.
Ross, what you saying, bro?
We always ask this, but, like, Holland's 2 shots on target includes the penalty shot, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's odd. Like, you obviously got 5 chances to score, and I think most of them were from what I remember watching the match, were within the penalty area. So the fact that he's getting 5 shots is good for the creators on that team, Cancelo, KTB, and then, like, Grealish, of whoever the rest of, like, their attacking cohort is. Obviously good to kind of see. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't think Burns gonna start next game, the fact that like people did, I do believe it's just a matter of like how you fit into the team, right? But you have to realize that Byrne was also a good part of their defense last season. So obviously it's something that Botman would have to work for. But like at this point, yeah, you're right. I feel like the chop's going to come sooner than later. Everything else is kind of like, pretty like standard. Like, ASM has a bunch of shots. Sun has a bunch of shots. Sun only had the assist, right? And that's it in terms of goal involvements. And that too was from a set piece or something.
Was it?
No, I don't think.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. Well, not a set piece, but they kind of recycled the corner, and that was the goal for Dyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm just asking you boys for input, but one thing I quickly want to point out is that there are 3 Newcastle players that have attempted 4 shots each.
Yep.
So Nottingham Forest, team to target.
Food.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Similar to Norwich last season, right?
Yeah. Oh, probably worse. Who knows? Like, Henderson got battered, man. Honestly, he could be like the keeper to kind of own the season.
Yeah.
Because he's a quality keeper, right? Kyle
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a reject Man United goalkeeper.
Should have been number 1, you.
Should be.
Some reject Liverpool defenders. Like I don't know what's going on, man. Like I think we do target them on their fixtures as the season goes on.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Quickly, I just want to mention Acker crosses into the box. We don't have to really discuss this one, but Bailey with 3 of them into the box and Trossard with 3 of them into the box. I'll kind of mash this up with the random extra ones. Sterling topped dispossessions with 7 of them. Tackles 1 was topped by 3 players, Partey, White, and Tete. So 2 Arsenal players in there. Interceptions, there were 3 players that kind of topped it. 5 interceptions, Billing, Dendonker, and Fofana. For clearances, so they were kind of dominated by 2 Bournemouth players. Mepham getting 13, Lloyd Kelly with 11 of them. Successful dribbles, Ayu got 6 of them. Jesus got 6 of them, which was crazy because that was like 6 of his 7 points that he got in the end. And aerials, Mitrovic with 11 of them could be like this year's Ivan Toney in that sense, given that the next highest number of aerials was 5. Quick thoughts, if anything, we'll go Ryan, Russ, and then end on Kyle.
Nothing really except the Bournemouth players. Really, I don't expect that to last. Like, I mean, maybe they do have to put in the work, so they will get many clearances, but I don't expect the performances to stay there. 2-0 over Villa was unexpected.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Interceptions like Billing and Dendonker are, I guess, playing more central, like CDM. I feel like for Wolves at least would be like Dendonker and Neves throughout most of the season, and then maybe Moutinho gets a game here and there. And he's injured right now anyways, I think. So, but Dendonker ended up with 20 points?
16,
without a goal. 20 points, like 19 points in my league, but without the goal or assist. So
my league,
we just play with the extra stats. Sanji, you were also part of that league, so you're welcome back anytime. I've told you that.
I know. Yeah. Kyle, you have anything that kind of stands out at you?
I mean, Mitro is a beast. Like, not even talking about that guy. I would call out like tackles 1 and like the Partey, White, Tete grouping there, like, and the game flow, right? Like, I think Arsenal was inspired on the opening night to not start like they did last season. So I think that Arteta sent them out to really like be tactically sound. So from that perspective, and they executed, right? Like White did a job on Zaha, and Partey in the middle did his job. The entire team operated as a unit, so that was good to see. And then also, I'd say somewhat similar, but Fulham. I think that that result was a little bit surprising, and I'm sure Ras is still hurting a little bit inside. I argue that that's a worse result than United's loss, but I digress. But I'd say similarly though, like the grouping.
Don't try to like turn the tables.
I mean, I got it right. Like if I sit here and like it's my first time on the show,
on Liverpool.
Right? I can not fire shots. It's my first time.
Yeah. I mean, namesake. Come on, guys. Come on.
Exactly. So as I said, I think game flow on the tackles one it'll be interesting to see which managers get their tactics right and which teams execute like on a week by week basis, right? Like who steps up.
So, like, the thing is, for that, going back to your point about, like, Arsenal and, how they set up, was it a back three or was it a back four? Because I saw on Who Scored that Ben White was playing right back. So I'm wondering if he was just able to rack up more stats because he was not playing centre back.
Because he was playing against Zaha, that's why as well, right? So it was a back four.
Yeah,
Tomiyasu had carried the red flag on my IR slot. So he was in training, but he didn't get game time on the weekend and until he was with the U21. So I think he got 45 minutes, which came... So this Friday kickoff came a little bit too early for him. And Ben White slid into the right back role and did a job like defending against Zaha and his theatrics.
All right. Cool. I think that's it. Let's move on to the next segment, boys. League updates. So we're all playing in the same league. This segment is gonna be spicy moving forward this season. But you know what? Fortunately, we didn't play. Wait, no, one of us played the other person.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
But we'll start with Ross. Ross, how did your game week go?
So I'll talk about OG League. I won handedly.
Bro, we don't care about your OG League, bro.
50, but I got to talk about. I haven't discussed this. Like, okay, yeah. Actually, Sanjay, you and Ryan have seen this league, this team, but like I'll tell you the players that I do have in that league. Like, I drafted Salah because I won and I get to keep a player. So on my team is Salah, Trent, Jared Bowen, Tielemans. I have Reece James as well, to kind of name a few, and Joe Linton, and I have Koulibaly as well. So, like, I do have a bunch of...
This is an OFBL team or OFBL league with like 6 teams, right?
This is 10 leagues, 10
team league.
10 teams. The only other disappointment this past game week was Thiago and Tibebe, who had like 5 points and 4 points, which, like, okay, Thiago is in my injury reserve now, but yeah, that's the other thing that we play within this league is we have 3 roster spots on our bench. So we have starting 11, 3 subs, and 1 IR spot. Decided to kind of change things up this year because we're like, it's kind of been the same for the last 2 years. So that's the other reason why it's a strong team, is because everyone is just drafting more players and you can just have...
Right.
So like even like on our waiver pool, like there's a bunch of players that didn't get drafted. So gonna be an exciting Thursday to kind of pick them up because ours didn't clear today as well. In the Banter Boys League, I won with a clutch City clean sheet that came at the end. I was like losing by like 4 or 5 points, and then because the KDB assist, but then City got, like, Cancelo got the clean sheet and I won 96-92. I picked up 2 players. I picked up Huang Hee-chan and who else did I pick up? Oh my god, I had...
No, you dropped Huang Hee-chan, didn't you?
No, he picked him up.
No.
Oh, he did?
Picked him up.
Yeah, no one had
him.
Yeah.
You picked him up after I told you not to pick him up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your other move was Broha, right? Or Broja?
Broha, yeah. Armando Broha. I picked him up.
Why did you pick up Broja? That made no sense to me.
He had like, 4.5 points in his little cameo? I don't know. It's
That's
one of those things where, like...
all season.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know. You guys are very much struggling for attacking players. And it will chop and change throughout, at least for the first few bits. So, I don't know. Let's see. It's more of like a let's see what happens.
Are you not going to tell us what your waiver moves are for the deadline? No?
That was my waiver moves.
No, for the upcoming deadline.
Oh, yeah. Cornet, 95 on him. So
yeah. Okay, good. Use all that, fab. Ryan, what's your update? I mean, you and Kyle can probably give your updates together, given that you played each other.
No comment.
Yeah, so I beat Kyle 99-84. Winner, Haaland Slayer.
Luckily.
Basically, yeah, luckily. I had like a 30 point lead going into the final game, which is City, facing Haaland, and I
Declan Rice.
really did not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I expected like at least a 20-something, maybe 30-point return for Haaland. So luckily he was subbed off before he could get that third goal and Kyle could pip it. But I think my team performed well. No standout, like no one smashed it besides maybe Darwin. A bunch of maybe teens, like 17 points from Aspi, 17 points from Target, things like that. I left a ton of points on the bench, so I need to smoothen that out. But otherwise, yeah, pretty happy. I was able to drop Ward and pick up Dean Henderson, so I'm happy about the saves he's gonna get. And I was keen on McAllister just because he was playing in preseason. He did not play in the front three in game week 1, but Lallana did, so I managed to grab Lallana as well, just in case.
A quick question about your lineup, and this might be useful to managers moving forward. You started Darwin even though he was on the bench. Why?
Yeah, so I mean, given what he did in the Shield, right? He came on and just changed the game, did so much damage from the bench. Then I figured with the 5 subs, there's no chance he doesn't come on, right? He has to come on, and we've seen already what he can do versus City. So I thought it's Fulham. If he comes on, gets 30 minutes, which is about what he got, 38, he could cause real damage, and he did.
All right. So
Good
it's a risk that you're willing to take for the rest of the season, you think?
Yeah, with a player from like Liverpool or a player from City, I'd gladly take that risk, yeah.
So like if you have Riyad Mahrez, he's on the bench, would you start him?
I would, but there's a lot more variance with Mahrez, right? Like Mahrez could come in like in the last minute when Pep is just wasting time, or Mahrez could come in early when Pep needs his team to get a goal, and you never know what to expect.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, do you really want to add to that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll add to it. I think Ryan covered off a little bit of how the head-to-head battle went. So Sunday, there was a little bit of tactical posturing in terms of who we put into our lineups. Ryan already mentioned that he did not play Danny Welbeck. I, on the flip side, could not wait to see what the City lineup would be. And of course, all accounts were that Stones wasn't going to start. So I took him out and I played Caicedo to cover off McAllister. I had De Gea to cover off Dalot as best as United can cover off anybody. So it was a little bit of that posturing because, like, as much as Ryan had the lead and I had Haaland as the trump card, just trying to play the matchup and see kind of how best to cover off coming from behind. I still had a chance though. Like if Declan Rice got a goal in the last minute of the game after Haaland went off, then I could have pipped it, right? So That's it, right? You play all the way to the end of the whistle. Like you try to still make moves if you're in a league that doesn't use auto subs, of course. Still try to make moves to cover off what your opponent might do, or maybe who they're gonna target to pick up on free agent pool or whatever the case may be.
I mean, you did get a win somewhere.
Yeah, I got a win in my Dynasty League. I alluded to that a little bit earlier. Not going to go into the details there. Rosters are literally loaded because we're playing 2 divisions, a Premier League, quote unquote, and a championship with 8 teams apiece. So because of 16 teams, we're playing, and a U21 like minor league setup, like we're playing with double rosters. So it's super interesting game theory as well because you're not covering off the hypothetical of this person has this person from this team. Like you could literally be going up against the exact same lineup almost, right? So I had Zinchenko as an example. My opponent had Zinchenko, but they didn't start him. So that was good for me to get those points. And I'd say overall I had a resounding win there. So I'm going to take my victory wherever I can.
And listeners, if you do play Dynasty League and you want to learn more, feel free to slide into our DMs. You know, Kyle, I might be even interested to do a special segment on Dynasty if we get enough feedback about that as well, just to get your takes, your experience, maybe provide some advice for the rest of the season.
I'm not going to proclaim myself as an advice with Dynasty Premier League. This is my first time playing it, but I founded Sanji about this. I checked the receipts for literally 2 years.
Yeah.
So I found a league on Reddit. It's pretty well run. It was a money league, but honestly, like as I said, it was an itch that has been like scratching or like I've been gnawing at this one for a while. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
might as well just do it. I'd say it's pretty well run. A good group of guys, and even the commish, like I was showing you, Sanji has pretty good Twitch setup. Like, so he did a weekend review and a Fantrax 101. So seems like a small but fine group that's coming together there on the Dynasty side.
Yeah, exciting stuff. All right, quick highlights from me. I beat Achim. I was a little nervous starting off Friday because he had like Ramsdale, Zinch, and somebody else. He was like kicking my ass like 40 something to 11, but then I clawed it back with like my Madison, my gross pick. And yeah, Pedro Neto and all those boys, they came true. But yeah, ended the game week with the highest points for. Puts me top of the Banter Boys League, but again, long fucking way to go, right? It's nowhere done at all. Especially when my season has started with a DCL injury. Luckily, we have an IR spot in this league, so I'm able to stash him. We're gonna kind of discuss that in the questions about DCL and stuff. I was happy to kind of pick up Rasmus Christensen in my free slot on the bench. Our guest actually talked about Leeds assets, and Rasmus Christensen was one of the players that he was excited about. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. I really shouldn't. This is really poor of me. But go listen to our Leeds segment, or go listen to all our fan series segments. Honestly, there's a lot of hidden gems in there that I think you can get proper insight on from fans of these clubs. But yeah, I gotta thank Ross as well for dropping Fabian Schär during the game week. Grabbed him.
You're welcome.
Fucking smashed like 30 points for me. Basically sealed that first spot for me, right? And then I kind of got rid of Nathan Collins, who was a late draft pick for me on the latest waiver wire, and grabbed up Veltman, who I think will be a steady Eddie in terms of defender for points. Still looking to make some moves. I've got first waiver priority. With all my fab remaining, hoping for like some gem to come through while the transfer window is going on, which ends, I believe, end of this month, right, boys?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So exciting stuff. Anyways, that's our league update. So I think now what we'll do is jump into our halftime pint. We'll go grab some beers. Ross, you get some water, and we will be back.
Agua.
And we are back. All right. So we've got a few questions. Ross, do you want to run through those? Just mention who is like asking the question, their handle, and yeah, just we'll take a crack at it. Kyle and Ryan, why don't you guys take a crack at these questions? I'll jump in if there's any extra information I want to add in.
Yeah. So our first question is from Ken Bob at KenBob1989. Couple of questions, actually.
Leeds fan,
3
Sanji?
questions.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is our Leeds fan. I don't know why I'm...
There you go.
You know what's really funny, though? I do remember his dog's name. It's Frank. It's a black cockapoo, and he's the cutest fucking thing ever. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So 3 questions. Is DCL droppable? Who are the most interesting waiver wire pickups from the promoted teams? Isolated bad result for Villa, or a sign of things to come?
Man,
Alright,
I'll jump in. Like,
Yeah,
is
go for it.
DCL droppable? I would say no. Sanji alluded to it. If you have an IR slot, I would advocate for keeping it.
What if
the
you
Everton-
don't, though?
If you don't, I think you still do. At least till the end
Yeah.
of the transfer deadline. When you look at that Everton team, it does not give me a lot of confidence, especially up top. Dele Alli, I think Grass already alluded to that as well, like as being a hopeful draft pick. I can't remember. Did you draft him before or after the DCL injury?
Before,
Well,
100%.
Yeah. So I mean, like, at the same time, I saw some chatter online that after the DCL injury, that it was Dele Alli time. Woof! What a miss. I think that given Rondon was suspended for the first game, I think he's back. I think the window still has a couple weeks to go. I think you hold on. that's the best advice I can give. Just hold on to the NA transfer deadline and see what business Everton does. But I would not give up the faith immediately.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's also only supposed to be 6 weeks, right? That's not too bad.
Yeah, but like, how long was he out last season?
Yeah,
Like,
it was 6 weeks that turned into 6 months or something.
yeah, exactly, right?
I think most interesting waiver wire pickers from promoted teams. Dean Henderson, I grabbed him myself from the waiver wire. I just think he's going to get a lot of saves. I don't care how much goals he concedes. I think Bournemouth probably going to have a few options that you're interested in, but I need more time to assess them because I think that was a kind of a freak result. But I think Billings is going to be a solid player throughout the season. Fulham look solid. I think, I don't know. We know Anthony Robertson can put up some points. We know Tete on the other side can do stuff. And Babu's there too, competing for a spot. But I like the look of Pereira on set pieces, and I like the look of Harrison Reed got forward a good bit. And had he taken one of those chances, he could have had a screaming game.
So I want to cause a little bit of chaos right now. In terms of the promoted teams, there is one player that kind of stands out, and he's only popped up because he was a late addition to the league. Marcus Tavernier. Now, everyone's going to go scramble for this kid now. But he put up 15.5 points, right?
Yeah.
I think he's on corners, 3 key passes, 6 successful dribbles from Bournemouth. I think he's definitely an interesting asset. Granted, they played Villa, who I think was just shocked by that early first goal and maybe kind of lost their bearings after that. But who's to say, right? The thing is, Bournemouth has really, really tough fixtures coming up. So if you're going to grab this guy now, don't be surprised if he doesn't put up the points for the next few fixtures, right? You might have to grab him and hold him sort of thing.
Right.
In terms of Fulham, Kenny Tete, sure, he did well, played well against Liverpool. I think he got the assist, right? If I'm not mistaken. The thing is, though, Kevin Mbabu is in is in his shadow in that sense, waiting for an opportunity. I'm sure the minute Kenny Tete has a bad performance, he could lose his spot, right? So, I mean, just be careful about assets like this getting drafted. And in terms of Nottingham Forest, man, I'm just worried about all of their assets in general. I know the likes of Jesse Lingard was drafted kind of high, maybe mid-draft for a lot of managers and leagues, but I just don't see them holding on to the ball long enough to be putting up the attacking points that we know some of their assets can get. That's my biggest concern. So I'd probably just avoid Nottingham Forest altogether. And in terms of DCL, I'm stashing that bad boy as long as I can. I think we can move on to the next question.
I think we could give Ross the opportunity to answer the last bit.
You wanna...
Last
Villa,
one? Yeah.
Villa part.
Yeah. We've kind of talked about it, but I still bad result for Villa or sign of things to come. And Zubain also kind of mentioned it, is that Gerrard's record at Villa so far is 29 games. What is it? 29 games, won 10, drew 5, lost 14. Very similar to Gary Neville's Valencia record. So everyone called Valencia, Gary Neville stint at Valencia, you flop so hard and everything. Flop, that's such an American sports term.
He did retire from being a manager after that.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where you take on a project knowing that you have to kind of really build up the whole team culture, and he obviously does want to be different from what Dean Smith was doing to that extent, right? You kind of see nuances here and there where you kind of see a bit more discipline by the team and stuff, but I guess maybe kind of Sanji was kind of alluding to it might have been a mentality thing where they just conceded really early and just really kind of couldn't get into the game. They were also away, which does have a significant impact, especially if you go down early quick. So I am skeptical of Aston Villa at the moment. I'll kind of talk about it later about assets too, but for me, it's a wait and see. For me, it's maybe don't like jump too in. And like, you know, I'm not regretting, but like I'm skeptical of my really high Coutinho pick, and I'm sure many people are, right? That would have gone in like late second round, maybe third round for some people. So yeah, that's how I see Villa at the moment.
Awesome. Next question. Oh, thank you,
Next
Ken
question.
Bob, by the way.
Yes.
I'll remember
Thank
your
you,
name
Ken
for
Bob.
next time.
Yeah.
I promise.
Next question we have from Robbie P at A Team of Caras. Thiago rumored to be out for 6 weeks. Would you drop him?
I mean, we can make this really quick. I'm going to say yes.
I agree.
I'm a yes too.
Yep. It's a
So
simple question.
you own him, right, Ross, in one of your leagues?
Yeah, but I have an IR spot, so I've kind of stashed him in there. So, but if you don't have an IR spot, like, yes, for me, it's a drop. And like, for me, if I see someone else that's maybe a bit more higher value for an IR spot, I'll might pick them up. I don't know who, but if someone drops, for example, DCL, I would then pick up DCL over Thiago.
Yeah, agreed.
It's
I also
mostly
own.
because
Yeah, I own and I have him in IR right now, but I agree with you. If a higher priority IR comes along, he's gone.
Yeah, my thing looking at it is Thiago is was the most rostered Liverpool mid, but if I look at the young Liverpool midfield players especially, like I want to imagine that they're ready and hoping to step up, right? So Fabio Carvalho, Curtis Jones when he's back. I'm sure that the Hendo and Naby Keita, like it just seems like a crowded midfield, and my guess is whoever steps up in his absence will probably just want to own the position, and Klopp doesn't like to rotate once he's in a rhythm, right? So I would imagine that it's going to be hard, even when he comes back in 6 weeks, to immediately just stake his claim and take his spot back into the starting lineup.
Yeah, completely agree. Great points all around, boys. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Thanks, Robbie P, for your question. Next and last questions we have is from Draftash at Draftash. All right, boys. Hope you all had a great summer. Should we be worried about Aronson as a fantasy asset? He was involved in everything, yet scored a big 0. Can we redo the United fan pod? It's only been one game, but I'm regretting my comments.
We should just burn the United fan pod. Like, that's perfectly like, we don't need to talk about them.
I mean, Kyle, you could probably start this off as the Aronson owner in our league, right? I mean, listen, he looked amazing in the highlights, right? But 0 fantasy points. That's not a good start.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that could have easily been 10, and it was briefly 10, and I was closing the gap on Ryan until Ryan promptly told me that it was an own goal, and I cried a little bit inside. Yeah, it was a little bit disconcerting to see that he put up a big fat goose egg, but at the same time, he looked sharp. You have to imagine Bamford looked sharp. I'd say overall Leeds looked sharp. So from that perspective, I would hope that like he is more involved. It does seem, we had the stats in the first part of the pod where Jack Harrison was literally involved in a lot of the play as well. So as the offense balances out, as tactically like people shut Harrison down, you would hope that some of that creative burden and points to come along with it shows up in Aronson's performances as the weeks go by. So I'm holding out hope. I don't know if after the goose egg though I want to start him. So ask me in like a week how I feel again, and I might give a more like prescient response. But I'm holding out, fingers crossed, toes crossed, holding out hope, and not putting him on the block immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he didn't do anything, right? In terms of like Fantrax numbers and stuff from like the basic ones, he won a tackle. He just got dispossessed twice, and he still ended up playing 84 minutes. But I mean, eye test wise, the kid looks electric. Like he does have potential and a lot of energy to burn on that pitch. He's played for Jesse Marsh. Oh my God, I was gonna say Mitch Marsh, like the last pod, and I was like, who's Mitch Marsh? Right, the Australian cricketer. I just remembered. Yeah. Oh, I fucking love cricket. But yeah, listen, I think definitely it is a watch and see kind of whole sort of situation. I wouldn't be panicking way too much, but maybe an opportunity to buy low for other managers.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a question for Tash, right? Like, why did you draft him in the first place, right? Like, what was the expectation and the hope for him, especially as an unproven asset in the Premier League and in England? What was the hope that you had? And I'd give it a little bit of time before you kind of assess, did he meet your expectations? I'd ignore the 0 and see kind of what the 4-game or 5-game average looks like before you jump to any rash conclusions.
I just love that both guys are United fans and both guys had Aronson. I just love that.
I mean, some rivalries run deep, but you know what? It's fantasy.
Anyways, boys, I think now we can kind of round off this segment and move on to our final segment, which is the waiver picks. So for this segment, we kind of discuss assets that are under 50% owned, which you probably find a lot of them because it's only been one game week this season, right? So what we've kind of had was Ross do the home picks, Ryan do the away picks, and Kyle, you and I can maybe just jump in at the end and see if we have anything to add. And yeah, let's run through them.
Yeah.
All right.
First game is Aston Villa versus Everton. Aston Villa is the home team. And like I said, Stevie G, like low percentage, like I think 34, 32%. And maybe the Bournemouth game might be an indication on like it might take Villa to kind of settle down for a bit, get in the groove of things. Maybe your starting 11 hasn't been fully nailed on yet, as it is for like mid-table teams, right? So... And, you know, you start getting pressure from, like, the media and all these things and the fans. So, like, let's wait a bit to kind of see who's available and who's not, right? Notable ones that are available are, like, Jacob Ramsey or, like, Douglas Luiz and stuff. So, and I think Douglas Luiz is also staying because his girlfriend, who also plays for Aston Villa's women's team, is also staying. Something like that. Like, I saw it on Twitter or something, and, like, fans were pretty excited about that, so... yeah, that's my little analysis for Aston Villa.
Yeah, for Everton, I was pretty okay with their performance, right? It wasn't horrible, not like last season. So I've suggested Mikolenko at 27% owned. He had a fairly productive game, didn't come away with much, but he looked bright enough. Iwobi, 19% owned. Frank still likes him for some reason. He put up, 7.5 or 7 points? Good enough. Like, he's been doing about that all of last season too, when he was playing. And really just Pickford, but no real any talk to add about Pickford.
Pickford sucks. Pickford is the reason for Godfrey's injury, in my opinion, because that play at the back that Godfrey had to come back and try to rescue, like, ended up, like, shattering this man's foot. Like, I think that Pickford should not be a starting goalie in this league, but you know what? I'm a United fan, so...
Is Robin Olsen still there?
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
He's pretty good.
He's
I do rate them.
Yeah, Pickford's just...
Didn't Robin Olsen just sign for someone?
Oh, did he?
That's what I thought.
I saw it on...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
One sec.
Tells you how informed we are at Banter Boys.
Oh, he plays for Aston Villa now.
Oh,
He just signed for Aston Villa. Yeah.
how convenient. Well, I mean, to kind of touch on like the Aston Villa team, I thought like that new kid, Kamara or whatever, Boubacar Kamara. I don't know if he's like ready to be doing 90-minute games in the Prem yet. Maybe Douglas Luiz comes back in, right? Maybe keep an eye on him because of seasons yesteryear, we've known him to kind of have some kind of value, takes corners every now and then. So kind of keep an eye on that. Be ready to kind of pull the trigger. Other than that, listen, I do want to discuss one asset though. Connor Cody. You didn't really mention him, Ryan. Kyle, you picked him up, right?
I did pick him up.
He's fucking
yeah.
terrible though at Fantrax. Like, so
Oh, bad
I
at ghosties.
but the thing is, I don't know if the change in system like affects his points. Like maybe the style of football is different. Like I don't know. I'm really skeptical about that pick, Kyle. No offense.
I mean, that's why we didn't talk about these picks, right? Like, at the end of the day, I just told you, like, I'm very skeptical about the Everton defense in general. I don't think Pickford's solid at the back. I think he takes too many risks and puts his center backs especially under a lot of pressure. But Tarkowski looked good, like in terms of points and like contribution. So it's gonna be interesting to see what a new reconstructed center back partnership, like back four, essentially looks like. Because Mina got injured as well, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, who's to know what this Everton backline looks like and like what Everton overall looks like this season? I'm not holding out a lot of hope for anything. On the Kamara point, like if I'm not mistaken, he played for. Well, no, he didn't play. Where did he come from? What league rather did he come from?
We should know this. I don't know. Somebody want to do a quick
Rangers,
Google?
Didn't he?
Was he the Rangers one?
Didn't he come from Rangers?
Maybe. I don't know.
Was that?
Or was that the other one at Villa that came from Rangers with Stevie G? Because I think that's the thing that's exactly the point that I was going to say. Is it like two Kamaras that are now playing, one at Everton and one at Villa? Like, or is my brain like just confused?
Came from Marseille.
Yeah.
Boubacar Kamara came from Marseille. Quick fingers. That's what you
There
need
you
to
go.
have, Sanjay.
Nice.
Well,
Love
they're-
Google.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Just things to kind of jump out there. And there was another asset. I don't know if you had mentioned it, but Doucouré. But again, who knows?
Yeah, I was more excited about it. We will be done to Curry, but yeah, agreed.
Yeah, Wobie's playing a new role. I've never seen him play like this role before. Very Musa Dembele like, and I think he's thriving. Anyways, next fixture, boys.
Arsenal versus Leicester. I went down the list. I looked at players available, and the couple of players that are under 50% are Partey, Xhaka, who are regularly starting. And I don't know, I have like a moral dilemma of picking up Partey, with kind of what's been in the news. And I know nothing's official and all these things, but it's one of those things where, like, you know, even like the Arsenal fans kind of had the poster out before the match, for not directly naming Partey, but like addressing, and like, again, all speculative and all everything. So, that's the only other player who did well. But, like, it's one of a moral dilemma for me, but he's pretty lowly owned, like 40-ish, 30-ish something % or something.
So, Ross, quickly before Ryan jumps in, I mean, not to put you on the spot or whatever, but if it comes down to a matchup and Thomas Partey is the only player you can grab and you need to win your game week, you tell me you're not going to grab a player.
That's the dilemma, though, right? Like, that's why I said that's the dilemma that you're in. Chances are probably not, but again, like, that's why you call it dilemma rather than a fixed stance. So
yeah, are you worried about Xhaka's position in that team given Zinchenko's new addition, whatever, like 12% own Xhaka?
I honestly thought, like, Fabio Vieira might be kind of coming into the mix.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he might get I don't think he featured at all. So, and like, he's like 0% owned or something. So, I thought he might be coming into the mix, and plus I thought Zinchenko might be coming into the midfield, but Tierney would go back into like left wing back spot. But Tierney was also kind of dealing with fitness issues. So maybe it's just like a temporary thing. So.
All right. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I see Kyle wrote something here. We missed discussing Lampard versus Gerrard about the Aston Villa Everton game. It would be interesting to see who trumps who in that.
Ooh.
True.
Yeah. Big talks. Yeah, good point, Kyle.
All right.
Because it's always been like... Yeah, go on.
No, I'll go ahead. Finish your point.
I was just going to be like, it's always been one of those things where, like, is Gerrard the better manager or is Lampard the better manager? And, like, all of these things. But that's a good reminder that it is Stevie G's first competitive game against Frank Lampard. I think so, maybe. Did they play last season?
I don't know.
I
I'm gonna
don't
just call
recall.
it a draw and say they're both equally terrible.
Bad. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I
Okay.
made sure to put these out there.
Unproven.
Fair.
Oh,
fair.
Ross, you're
Equally
so
unproven.
nice, bro.
I
You're
mean,
so nice.
Lamb's had a far better opportunity than Gerardo. But anyway, moving on. At Leicester,
yeah.
I'm gonna cheat a bit. We usually only plug people below 50%, but Castagna is right now at 51%. And I think it's game week 1, so I'm just gonna plug a couple players who are above 50, just because it's game week 1. They're probably available in your league. Go grab them. With the Ricardo Pereira injury, Castagna looks fairly nailed. I didn't see the game myself, but Sanjit, you saw it, and you said he was way more attacking than Justin on the next flank. Making those runs. So, yeah, if he's free, I would definitely go grab him. He got a goal, right? Like,
Yeah, it just felt like sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, when they've tried back three at times, I feel like Justin has been one of those centre backs.
yeah,
and
sometimes.
it just feels like Justin is a bit more. Don't get me wrong. Before Justin had a serious injury, he used to bomb for it as well. But it just feels like Justin isn't the same attacking player as he was, and he has a tendency to sit back sometimes. And Castagna, is just bombing forward. That sort of player that is gonna get on the end of attacking returns. Don't get me wrong. Like Castagna's goal was from a set piece, but it just kind of speaks to how good he is, like what he has in his arsenal. So yeah, I definitely do like that shout. I mean, maybe just be a bit wary about Ricardo Pereira if he ever comes back from his injury, because he's always fucking injured.
Poor guy.
Yeah, it's terrible. I should be a lot nicer, Ross. But yeah, I like that shout for sure. Kyle, anything, or should we move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
All right, Brighton versus Newcastle.
Sorry, Ryan. Brighton versus Newcastle.
Ross is like DMing his butchie on the side. And for those who don't know what butchie is, it's basically like what is a butchie? What is the translation for butchie, Ross?
It would be in your slang, ting, right?
Ting, yeah.
Brighton versus Newcastle. I'm pretty high on Brighton, and I've got a bunch of picks. Goalkeeper, if you're still looking for one and need a more stable, Sanchez, 49%. Defender, Sanji picked him up. Veltman. Sanji, maybe you can kind of talk a bit about this, but I did mention Levi Colwell, who's 2% owned. I don't know, maybe he might get a shout out. Caicedo, 13%. Mwepu, who didn't start the first game, but still had like 4 points in his little cameo, had 4%. Solly March, 11%. And forwards, that guy Welbs at 46%. But Sanjay, I don't know, what do you think? You might know a bit more about Levi Colville than other people might.
Think he's gonna start. I just feel like he might get an opportunity if there's an injury to that back three of Veltman, Webster, Dunk. I feel like those guys are fairly nailed. Yeah, I mean, he might just keep an eye, because it's not like these guys are gonna have, injury-free seasons. Like, maybe they were just really unlucky last season. That's what it is. Because Cucurella could play as one of those centre-back options, right? So I don't think they really have anyone out there. I don't think even Alzate, where they've played him every fucking where in the team, can play centre-back. I don't think so. But basically Ross is saying just get any Brighton player, right? Or it could just be the case that
Sanji,
just pick up anyone that's playing Manchester
Cucurella
United.
Anymore.
Pardon?
Sanji, not Cucurella anymore, because
Why?
he's at...
Your club.
Didn't he leave?
Yeah, no, but
Yeah,
I'm
he's at
saying
Chelsea.
is that I'm saying that's the option that they had as a centre back sort of thing.
They had at a center back.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I missed that.
What I thought Sanji was gonna say though is that Colwell will be the new like Conor Gallagher.
Could
the
be.
Chelsea loanee that goes out and makes a claim for themselves and then comes back to the big club next year, right? So
And rots on the bench.
yeah.
I mean, listen, it's not the first time we've had Chelsea assets go out on loan to clubs and become good Fantrax assets. Ruben Loftus-Cheek at Crystal Palace, like Kyle said, Gallagher at Crystal Palace as well. Maybe it's just Crystal Palace, obviously not. Broja at Southampton, he had his moments as well, right? So
Yeah.
listen, Kyle, Dynasty League, Go get that boy.
Don't worry, I already have him. Don't worry, I already have him.
One for the future.
There
All
you go.
right. Yeah. Who's the
Yes.
team? Newcastle, right? Yeah.
So Newcastle, I'm gonna plug Almiron at 11% owned. He put up a solid, I think it was like 11 points or something. But any Newcastle player, I think, should be taken with a grain of salt because they did play what looks like the Norwich of last season, right? We saw in the data dump that like 4 players had 4 shots. That's just shots on key passes spreading out throughout the entire team, right? I think Target and Trippier had huge games and did nothing besides keep a clean sheet, which defenses probably will do against Forest. Yeah. That said, Newcastle was solid at the end of last season. They still look a bit solid now. I don't know. I need one more game week to assess Newcastle, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on Newcastle. My only thing, of course, and we see the headlines. I don't think they're done shopping. Let's see what their squad looks like at the end of the window.
I mean, they tried so hard for Maddie, so who are they going to get if they don't get Maddie?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the same playbook as, like, City when they had their takeover, right?
Yeah.
Like, try to buy from the teams directly around you, the best players, so that you, of course, get better, but they get worse.
Right.
You're trying to build a brand and your profile. You want European football to attract then the big name stars. So let's see if they can execute. I guess Eddie Howe got a new deal. So he's going to be there for a while. So I think the club seems to be pointed in the right direction. But yeah, nothing really screaming about going grab some super under the radar gem on that squad at this point.
So that makes me think that if you have any Newcastle asset like an Almiron or maybe Ross, your boy
Botman?
Joe Ellington,
Oh.
maybe trade him high, right? Maybe. If they're trying to get a number 10 that badly. Somebody has to get the chop, right?
Yep, that is a true point.
Yep.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
All right. Next fixture, Man City versus Bournemouth.
I have no one for Man City, and that's going to be the case generally, unless there's a big injury. Like, even players like Julian Alvarez, who aren't like featured heavily or regularly, are still more than like 50% owned. I think it's like 70% owned or something. So
Alvarez is 92%.
like Cole Palmer
rostered.
came on.
Wow.
Who?
92.
Ooh, oh my God. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer came on for like 2 minutes at the end of the game, but I don't think he gets time at all.
You know, it's a sneaky under 50% though. Calvin Phillips.
Yeah,
big
I saw
transfer,
that.
and he's only 44% owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where like if you need a player now, you wouldn't necessarily, you would pick up Calvin Phillips for when the lineups come out, right? So rather than like, he did come on for like 10 minutes, 12 minutes at the end of the game for Rodri, and that would be the main shift, and maybe that's the Fernandinho-Rodri's combo that we've been saying for the last couple of seasons. But barring any like fitness stuff, I feel like Rodri starts most games, as is the case the last couple of seasons. So yeah, but you're right, Calvin Phillips would be the only other shout.
Actually, technically, I now looked at the numbers actually again. Ake is only at 50%. How long does he keep that starting spot over Laporte or Stones?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Ake is another player that you can probably trade if you own him as well. Trade him high. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't think Ake keeps that position.
Yo, I went deep
No.
down this rabbit hole as a Stones owner. You know, Ake got married in the summer, and any and everybody from like the Dutch setup and his past clubs went to the wedding.
Yeah.
I didn't see him in the
Seriously?
pictures, but apparently Pep went to the wedding as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
There
Interesting.
you go.
All right. Bournemouth. Definitely,
So-
we've got an option there.
So, I think you have too many options there. Solanke is the only player. It's the complete opposite of City. Solanke is the only player above 50% rostered. And then Billing was second at 29% rostered, who I think will probably have a good season. But the rest of them, I'm happy to wait and see. Don't really want to plug anyone. Because it was such a, not a freak result, but like outlier-ish.
And
Yeah.
fixtures are really bad as well, right?
Yeah, fixtures suck. Exactly.
Exactly, right. They've got Man City up next. And after that, who do they have?
Arsenal and then
Liverpool,
Liverpool.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just hang on to them if you can, at least. All right, let's move on to the next one then. Southampton versus Leeds.
This was first pick I'm going to talk about is more of like a eye test pick because I thought he played really well. Lavia was 2% owned. In the other league, we play with an extra stats, and instead of I think like 4 points, he had like 6 or 7 points with like fouls and like ball recoveries and stuff. So something to keep an eye out. Eye test wise, I thought he had a great game. The only probably player with a great game, even like JWP wasn't playing that well. Other players. Southampton, like Salisu, 20%. He had 4 goals conceded and 1 own goal and was like -3 points. So that's a -8 minus -7, -6. So -14 and still ended up with like -3 points. So that's still pretty high for someone kind of with that much negatives. And Joe Ariba, 27% owned. Like, I feel like he went up against Spurs, which is like, and had a couple of chances here and there. But I feel like against lower teams, maybe even against Leeds, where it might be a bit more evenly matched, might see him grab a goal or assist, or even like just put up better points in general. So,
yeah, fair. At Leeds, I did this cheat thing again. So Rodrigo, he had a goal. He looked decent. Had a great preseason run. Scoring a hat-trick and whatnot. It looked like the confidence came over into the actual season, and he's at 53% owned. So that's the only Leeds player I plugged. I don't know if anyone else had anything.
I mean, I would plug Sanji's boy, who I also was
Rasmus?
literally trying to figure out who to cut from my team when I saw the email saying that a player was dropped. Rasmus Christensen. He's at 36%, so I keep an eye on him as well.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, Rasmus put up, 6 ghosties after conceding the goal. I'm kind of happy with that. And again, go listen to that Leeds fan episode or any of the other fan episodes. You're going to hear a lot more hidden gems, I want to say, come out of those pods. But yeah, I think those are decent shouts. What is Aronson's ownership, by the way?
I think it's high.
Yeah, he's 81%.
80-something, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Sanji, you know what Aronson kind of reminds me of is we did like of Almiron, like just always involved in the play, super great eye test and stuff like that, but always blanked on points.
Yeah.
I hope it's not the case for Kyle's sake. I hope he does end up a bit better of a fantasy asset, but Almiron, who we've also kind of shouted out as just a general great addition to a Newcastle team in the last couple of seasons, also used to, unless he scored or assisted, got 1 or 2 points here and there.
Right.
So,
Yeah, fair enough. All right. I mean, his first name's Brendan, but yeah, that's for another podcast. The next game, Wolves versus Fulham.
yeah, so I have Morgan Gibbs-White at 32%, Dendonker at 16%, Hwang Hee-chan 22%, asterisks in the sense of with the new player kind of coming in and with Jimenez out, he might have the starting spot for now. And the new boy from Valencia, Guedes, whose percentage I don't know because he wasn't in our player pool for some reason. But
he's at 12% right now.
He's at 12% right now. Okay, so still really low, and I feel like still waivers are being cleared, but also kind of plays second striker, winger sort of position from what I've heard and read. So those are kind of my picks for Wolves.
Yeah, fair. I think we spoke a fair bit about the promoted teams, Fulham especially. I did plug Tete at 4% own, but of course, as Sanchez mentioned, just be wary that his playing time might come to an end soon. And then Harrison Reed at 1% own. I thought he looked productive. He had a good game, but that's not the Harrison Reed I remember. I didn't watch Championship, of course, but it looked like he had a newish role. Maybe it was just that game. I don't know.
Yeah, I think some
In
of that.
Scott Parker's...
Oh, go for it.
Go on, Kyle.
I was going to say, I don't know how much of this is like Harry Wilson's injury and what does
Right.
this formation look like when Harry Wilson comes back, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that injury was so fresh that maybe they just had to change things on the fly, so not disrupt it by like playing something that the team hasn't played like before. Just like use the resources you have. Don't like shake the apple cart too much.
Yeah, I
in
got
the
you.
first game.
No, I remember their last PL run under Scott Parker. Harrison Reed did put regular numbers up, like, 8-9 points with the goal or assist here and there for like a good part of the season. Especially when he kind of broke into the starting 11. So maybe because he did put up 8-9 points this past game as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to kind of consider. I personally like options which I know can guarantee those points. Obviously, you need a couple of games to kind of like map those things out on the averages and stuff, and rather just go on one game. But if you have a player that can give you average 8-9 points, why wouldn't you kind of keep them on your team as like a fourth, fifth option? So
Yeah, his average over the full 2020-2021 season was 6.1 points. So, and he had 31 games played, 26 starts. So, and only 2 assists in that entire period. So he's clearly doing something to be putting up 6 points average over the course of essentially 3 quarters
A full
of the
season. Yeah.
yeah.
One player I do want to quickly shout out, 3% owned. I know he got subbed early, I think around the 65th minute or 66th minute, is Niskins Cabano. He hit the post versus Liverpool. He looks quite electric. I think he could be a potential attacking option moving forward. I don't know, this is just based on the eye test, right? I know he didn't put up the points, but it's a similar case to like the whole Aronson thing. It could be one to consider for the future. But yeah.
Yeah, fair.
All right, next game, Brentford versus Manchester United.
So I have Rico Henry at 14%. And the other 2 players didn't start but were involved in the goal. De Silva and Dervis Soglu, 2% and 0%. They came off the bench and De Silva got the goal and Dervis Soglu got the fantasy assist. So I don't know, maybe they get a starting role. Who knows? Well,
okay, I've got a bone to pick with that guy that I can't pronounce. Let's call him Dervy. But his assist was basically him shooting the ball. It rebounds off a Leicester player, loops high into the air. Then De Silva just recycles the ball and scores a worldie.
Yeah.
So I feel like that shouldn't be given an assist.
Huge, huge grain of salt for sure. I absolutely agree.
You can't do that every game week, Sandra.
I don't know, man.
I've seen.
I mean, I've done it in real
do
life, 100%. That's how I got
Exactly.
most of my assists during my career as an amateur football player. But
So I didn't actually write the rest of the away picks because my internet dropped. So whoever did write it, feel free to plug the rest.
I mean, it was me, and that's why it says promptly no one in all caps with a bunch of exclamation marks.
Oh yeah, no United players. Good
Yeah,
talk.
like don't
Let's move on.
look at United, guys. Like my thing is that I feel like even in our home league, after that game or as that game was going along, like people were messaging asking, why did I not warn them to not take United players? And I'm like, I clearly was not drafting any. I was very direct in communicating that. So I don't know why all you guys fell for that bait. Looking at the current levels, though, the only 2 that I could pick out in all seriousness were possibly some youngsters. Elanga, who folks are familiar with, who got playing time at the back end of last season, and the new wonder kid in Garnacho at 23% and 4% owned. Those are the 2 that I would call out just because they got on the pitch at the end of the game when United was still looking for a result. Like at the end of the day, Ten Hag clearly trusts these guys to come on. Of course, Martial is injured and there's still attackers that we're in the market for. Who knows what Cristiano does, but these youngsters are clearly not going out on loan. Depending on how quickly this season derails itself, they might be pushing for regular playing time. So I keep an eye on Elanga as the known commodity, and then Garnacho as the young prospect who might carve out a role for himself as a super sub.
Awesome. I mean, I agree. Just avoid United. That's what I tried to do in the draft, but I feel like I might have gotten away with my assets. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Nottingham Forest versus West Ham.
The only one I have is Dean Henderson, who's 49%. But I feel like that might have... All these percentages definitely changed because Tuesday is a very common day for waiver clearances. So, like, these are the numbers that were there Monday night. But Dean Henderson Monday night was 49%. For the rest of the players, it's a big wait and see for me. So
Hendo didn't move that much, actually. He's only at 56% now. So still very available.
Yeah.
Nice. Kyle with the quick facts. That's what we need, Sanjay.
Kyle is on it, man.
Yeah.
Kyle calls himself a casual player. That is a fucking lie.
I'm a pro casual. Oh, I guess I put in. Did I put in for West Ham as well? I guess I did.
Yeah.
I called out a goalie as well, funny enough, to match Russ. I put in Areola with Fabianski getting injured and being 37 years old. Let's see what happens there with that situation. Areola is a proven... Yeah, you didn't realize, right, Sanji? Sanji's face is like...
37? That is crazy. Yeah. I know he's been around for a while, but geez.
Yo, Arsenal legend Fabianski, Flappy Hansky, right?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Yep.
that guy's been around. But yeah, like he got injured like pretty early on in that game. Early enough for Areola to possibly get the FPL clean sheet if they could have kept the door closed. But when I was looking at Areola, like nothing to scream at with respect to the City result, but looking back at his past performance when he was a starter, he got a decent amount of save points. Of course, that was when he was at Fulham a couple years ago. So that defense did not do him any... they didn't give him any chance, really. But in reality, still looking at his saves, I think he was top 5 in saves and pretty decent save percentage. I think we know him as a shot stopper. I think about him as like a better like Meilier. So I keep an eye on Areola of everybody on the West Ham team.
Yeah, I love those shots for sure. I saw Justin, I think, stashed Fabianski and then picked up another keeper. Would you be holding on to a keeper at all? Like, surely not.
No,
not in our league with one IR slot. But at the same time, if there was no one else that you saw injured in the player pool to stash, then it isn't the worst strategy. But I'd say because I have Tomiyasu stash, I haven't done a lot of bargain bin hunting compared to other sports, which Ras is familiar with, where I go and I hunt for players to stash.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next one. Chelsea versus Spurs.
So I have Armando Broja, 27%. And like I said, in 14 minutes, he put up 4.5 points. Sanji is super skeptical. I'm like, you never know with like what Chelsea wants to do with their attacking like 3 or attacking whatever. So, you know, they're looking for a striker. Armando Broja is a striker. You know, seems like a match made in heaven. It's up to Tuchel to kind of put them 2 and 2 together.
I mean, if anything, and he moves to a different Prem team, you could stash him for that reason. He would start at any other team, I think, if he moves. So,
and like you said, he had his moments at Southampton, right? Last year.
Yeah, he was a beast there. What were you saying, Kyle? Sorry?
I was going to say, there were a lot of rumors about other clubs being in for him, right? West Ham and all this other stuff. But I don't think any of that stuff has petered out.
I mean, honestly, Everton should take him. They need a striker badly.
Yep.
No, they have Dele Alli. Yo.
Yeah, the guy that came off the bench and did nothing. True.
But he got a lot of instructions before he went on. I don't know if you saw that. Alex was giving him so much instruction. I'm like, this guy's going to come on and do something. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. All right.
Man.
Who do
Spurs
we
was interesting. Spurs was interesting. I think that the best value here, and I think we knew this going into the first match day, is what would their wingback situation look like? Spurs has been on a spree, obviously, like with new signings. Longley and Davinson Sanchez, who isn't new, of course, being outside shouts compared to their solidified back three that they were playing at the back end of last season. And funny enough, I think where the value is, and I think these numbers are a little bit up, but Sessegnon was at 50%. He's currently at 63%. And Ben Davies was at 43%. He's currently at 45% rostered. I think that Conte is nailed, at least from the look of things, in terms of his system that works. And he isn't going to... I mean, I called out Sessegnon, like, if we thought he was nailed. This whole Perisic thing is, like, very annoying. But I think he put in a shift and a performance to show that he should be nailed in that slot. And the competition, at the minimum, has forced players to realize that they have to play for their spot in the team, right? So I think that those are the two that I would flag, and let's see how the rest of the season plays out. As I say, if it rotates, Longley is still at 30%, Davinson Sanchez is like 11%. So I think there's a lot of assets on Spurs. Like, the hard part is, of course, knowing who actually gets into the starting 11.
So, I mean, it's always a tricky thing. Like, during the draft, I'm wondering, do I waste, like, 2 draft spots? And, like, listen, on the turn, it's easier, right? If I can grab Doherty, I can grab Emerson Royal at the same time, right? And I kind of nail that spot in Spurs. But I also find, like, eventually I would just assume that, you know, Doherty's just gonna get a run of games, Royal's just not gonna play, and that's a spot wasted on my roster. Right now, like, if you owned Doherty or you owned Perisic, are you trying to get the handcuff and maybe just kind of nail that spot, or are you gonna try to trade them out? Like, it's a weird position to be in, right? Because Perisic and Doherty would have gone earlier in drafts than the latter two.
I think you nail the handcuff personally. I think that you just go for it. I think the season's long, and the European competitions haven't spun up as yet, the cup competitions. I think that's why, of course, Spurs has gone against or allowed Conte and can't remember the sporting director's name, Patrici or whatever his name is, like to add squad depth, right? Like we know the problem with Spurs has never been their start outside of Harry Kane, who conspicuously we've not mentioned at any point in this podcast. But like Spurs definitely like gets off or comes out of the blocks hot, and then we know they fade, right? Like we could see from their roster construction at this point, they have literally competition at every spot. And if you are a Spurs aficionado or you have a premium Spurs asset, which I would say the defenders look like premium assets, like I would play the strategy again, the handcuff, and then just roll the dice as the season goes along. Arguably, you're probably going to be playing like, I don't know, 3 at the back in your Fantrax lineup anyway. So whatever, just get the handcuff.
And like point for like Conte's wing backs are known to be very involved in the attacking play. So like, yeah, the only difference here is that like Perisic is a mid and Sessegnon is a defender. Whereas previously, like I think even for like Doherty and Emerson Royal, both are defenders. So like you do have to kind of just change it up that way. But like both are gonna be pretty highly involved in the attack that we saw with Sessegnon, you know, runs at the back, you know, overlapping with Son and all those things. So he scored immediately after the restart, but like it was obviously offside, but he had like 1 assist or 1 goal or something. So for the quality that they bring in, I would have the handcuff as well.
Awesome. Now let's round things off with our final fixture: Liverpool versus Crystal Palace.
Yeah. So for Liverpool, I have one of their midfield options, Fabio Carvalho, who is a spitting image of Bruno Mars. Have you seen that video? Where he's just like, they're just kind of going, I'm passing the phone on to next. If you haven't seen this video, because I don't want to spoil it, watch that video. It's on like their social media and stuff. It's hilarious. Fabio Carvalho, 25%, Harvey Elliott, 24%, and James the Goat Milner, 1%, who is still trucking along at 36 years old. He might get the start. I don't know. With Thiago injured, with like, you know, he came on for Fabinho as like the number 6, and he always gets points when he plays. So, yeah.
Kyle, do you have him in your Dynasty League, Carvalho?
I do not. it was only 10 slots, and I'd say my strategy going into it was to get players who were under 21 or 21, but who were starting. So I went hard at the beginning with Martinelli and Caicedo and a bunch of players who I knew were nailed on. And then at the back end, I tried to get not like, I'd say maybe like 19-year-olds, people that I think will stay in the league. There's a path to them getting into the first team. So, I mean, that's a follow-up for a different pod if we go into more detail. But I ended up with either like really good starting young players or like really high prospect. Carvalho was definitely on the list, but there seems to be like a lot of Liverpool fandom, so he was gone pretty quickly.
Liverpool players always go early. Me and Achim
know my gosh. I mean, you could, if you want to talk about my full draft, I think it sent this to Sanji. I went Trent first round and Robbo second round. Like, I didn't even go for attackers. I loaded up on Liverpool as well, just in more established positions.
Yeah. All right. And Crystal Palace.
Honestly, I don't think there's much to talk about. The one I would call out is, and I didn't put it on the sheet, but looking at it now, is Joachim Andersen. I think that he was heavily involved. Like at one point, like this guy was like literally the most creative player on the field as Ben White and Partey were shutting down the other outlets in Eze and Zaha. I think he is currently at 40% owned. He put up like 7.25 points even in that loss. And further up the pitch, I think that there's still a lot of movement that will happen there. Like, I think going into the weekend, like no one knew who their striker was going to be. And then we find out literally right before that Benteke is leaving to come to MLS. And Hudson Edward arguably has not bedded in, and Mateta hasn't bedded in. Like, nobody knows what's happening up top. Elise is still injured. So I called out Ayew, who puts in a shift and gets like ghosties, and Schlupp, who somehow is like the most mediocre average player, but still puts up points when he's on the pitch. And Ayew's at 10% and Schlupp is at 5% ownership. So I would stay away though from the attackers on Crystal Palace until maybe the window is closed and they figure out exactly what they want to play or how they want to play. And there's a Conor Gallagher size hold in that midfield as well, right? So time will tell how they fill that position compared to last season.
Yeah, I believe Anderson got a key pass as well.
He did, man. Like, that guy was everywhere. I was watching that game and I was like, yo, this guy is literally everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. I don't think Gay had a bad game either outside of the own goal, which was kind of poor positioning and then a little bit unlucky. But I think that the team, I would stay away from Crystal Palace until they settle a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. So I know we said we are gonna do predictions, but it's like 12:38 where I am right now, AM. I missed my tube. I gotta catch a bus, so suck it. I gotta go home. We'll tweet that table. If anything, right? We'll write that up. Just for the sake of time as well. We don't want to make this almost 2-hour podcast, which these guys were saying it was going to be before we started recording. I know. I was wrong. I admit it. But you know what? I think this discussion was fantastic. Honestly, we had a solid pod, and Kyle, it's a pleasure to have you on board. As always. I think that's all we had planned though in terms of topics, content, everything like that. Do you boys have any final comments, final thoughts you want to add before we sign off?
Have fun.
Fuck that. 4 of us in the same league.
Is that what you're gonna do for the rest of the league? Just have fun? 4
of us in the same league? No fun to be had here, guys.
Have fun. I've won both, to be honest. So
it's gonna be pure carnage. Like, I'm playing Ryan next, and I'm like dreading it already.
Well, I'm licking my lips.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Is Ryan like the boogeyman that's going door to door? Like, Kyle first, Sanji second, I guess.
Wait, who does he play in the third game week? It'd be hilarious if he plays you in the third game week.
That would be crazy.
His third game week is not Russ.
We can rig it though. Ryan, we're commissioners. Let's rig the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my last plug is just thanks for having me, boys. Looking forward to this. Like, it's always good to have the banter going in the group chat. So to bring it to the pod is equally fun. Looking forward to the season. Like, I'm hoping that
Yeah.
hopefully I can bring some new segments and ideas. I already threw some into the doc. So listeners, if you have any ideas or if you want us to go down any tangents, like, feel free to let us know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ryan, you have anything to add, mate?
No, I mean, just best of luck, Sanjit. You will need
Fuck off.
it.
Don't worry, Sanji. I blessed Shar for you.
I was
so
not about to say,
he will
Fabian
give
Scher
you-
can't get 2 points back to back. Like,
I
You
mean,
never know.
if anything, Ross, while you were doing the whole spiel about Salisu, it's funny that you mentioned him as an asset, because before we were recording and whatnot, I did a bit of a ghost tracker points breakdown, and I noticed Salisu's points as well. I took out the own goals, I took out the goals conceded, and he was up there in terms of defenders scoring, and I drafted him while we were speaking. So Ryan, I'm coming
Nice.
for you.
You did what I do.
Yeah, basically. Anyways, yeah, I mean, good luck, everyone, is my point for the rest of the season. We've just started, right? Even if you lost, don't get discouraged. Season is really long way to go. And if you had a shit draft, as always, my point is you can still win your league with waivers, with FA picks, with trades, right? And if you have any
More
questions
trades.
about those, yeah, just hit us up. We're always happy to discuss them, chat about them. I would say contact us on Twitter or contact us on Discord. That's what a lot of listeners have been doing recently. And we're active on there. You'll get any one of us, I think, as we kind of build out the platform and the brand, and yeah, try to offer as much content and help as possible to you Fantrax managers. On that note, yeah, we'll sign off until the next episode. Peace.